Welcome to my very first attempt to turn a time-lapse video into something that runs a little longer and has a little voiceover. This is a time-lapse that I created earlier today called Schlock in Motion, and I have pulled it up in a video player, VLC media player, and I'm going to page through it and talk about what's going on. We begin with the penciling. The pencil layer is, boy, that went by fast. Let's see if I can change the playback speed to be much slower. It doesn't feel much slower. I'm going to move my mouse around a little bit though. A couple of things about Schlock's design. 3 fingers on each hand, 2 fingers and a thumb. His right eye is quite a bit larger than his left eye. Sometimes, I mean, it varies depending on what kind of a mood I'm in. And then his back has these, I think of them as like soft serve ice cream cone ripples. Anyway, so I pencil this in one layer in blue pencil, and then I go back over my pencil lines. You can see me doing this. Go back over the pencil lines and start strengthening the ones that are closest to what I want to keep. And then we have already zipped ahead to the inking. The inking is happening in a different layer, and it's happening in vector. Vector means that it's not pixel by pixel. It's all math. And what vector art lets me do is resize this to my heart's content without there being any pixelation. This first pass in inking is actually very pixelated. I've turned off all the anti-aliasing because I just want stark black and white lines. Anyway, so zipping through, and then, wow, this goes by so fast. I'm going to scrub backwards a little bit. The whole reason for doing the vector art in stark black and white is so that I can set the vector layer. I've turned off the pencil layer, so the pencils are now invisible. I can set the vector layer as a reference layer in Clip Studio Paint, and then when I do fills, the fills stay within the vector lines without dithering at the edges, which is not something I want to have happen. So let's scrub forward a little bit. And this is me picking my palette. Early on, I learned that the color for Schlock is an RGB color, RGB value that I should be able to memorize. And then I failed to memorize it. And so I actually had to Google it. This palette is the one that I picked just by eye, thinking, that's going to be the right color. Then I went and Googled it, found the math. It is RGB value 99, 99, 66. And that is this color right here. And then from that color, I scribbled these in place in the colors layer with a paintbrush. I moved one on the rainbow color wheel. If the color I wanted is here, and I'll do this at an angle so it works for you guys. I push up this way for highlight, and I push down this way, usually for shadow. Regardless of what the hue is. Anyway, so I've got those color swatches there. This is what happens when there's a gap, and Clip Studio Paint is set to fill gaps rather than pouring through them. But I needed to make that setting a little stronger. So we then flood fill with 66, 90, or 99, 99, 66. And then I begin grabbing these palette colors and using a soft brush that's kind of translucent. I just start painting where I think the shadows will go. I am really loving the touch feel of the brushes. This brush is called Nervous Nelly, and it's from the Friendzen 800 brush pack. I paid 30 bucks or so for. I like that brush. Kind of wobbly, and if I'm really gentle with it, I can get a good point on it. Anyway, so we get the shading, and then I start applying the highlights. I sampled that palette color and went for the light places. So here we go with and then I did a gradient fill inside his mouth. Actually did it twice in order to get the shading where I wanted it. And now I've set the, and I'm just going to go ahead and push play. I've gone back into the inks layer, and I've set the inks to be a little more anti-aliased, so the lines are smoother. This has got to be my favorite stage of any art. Someday I will learn to work with, and I'm going to go ahead and push pause right about here. Someday I will learn to work, actually I'm going to wait until I've done his eyes. I will learn to work with colored lines, painting the line art. But I love right now the feel of laying in these black shadows and hatches and whatever. It's fun for me. I really enjoy it. And as it takes place, let's watch it again. As it takes place, the picture really gains depth. It kind of comes to life when there's fresh line weight happening. And that's part of the fun for me, is watching it under my hand, watching it take shape. Anyway, I did his eyes, I tightened up the last of it, and then I scribbled my SIG down in the corner. And in order to see my SIG, I have to turn off this camera briefly. We will turn the camera back on and then push play again. And now I am just scribbling in some background layers and creating, whoops, that's further than we wanted to go. Play and scrub to the end and pause. There we go. I was just scribbling some background layers because I was tired and I didn't want to draw a background. I wanted to get this piece of foreground art done, and I could tell the way I had laid it in that the ground was canted and the energy wanted sort of, diagonal lines running through it. What am I going to use this picture for? I have no idea. But I have the ability to turn off layers and just keep this bit. Let's get the eyes, scrub forward and find the eyeballs and turn off. There we go. I can take just this bit and put that in something else if I need to. For 20 years doing Schlock Mercenary, I never did this. I never drew things with the intent to copy them and paste them and reuse them. Now, I'm not saying that I'm going to reuse this as key art in a panel somewhere, but I could. What I'm probably going to do is use it as a cover element, or maybe it'll appear someplace else. I don't know. For now, it is just a fun bit of tutorial art video and good times. Hey, thank you for staying with me while I've done this. Thank you for watching the whole thing. There are other time lapses. in my YouTube library, and I haven't narrated over any of those other ones yet, but it might be fun to watch. And if I get this end card thing right, they're probably like up in there somewhere. I'm pointing at the. I don't know how this works. I am so terrible at this. Hey, thanks for watching. Have a happy 2021, or at least the beginning of it. And I'll do more of this later.